What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Attic. Today, we'll be having a look at UFC Fight Night Rio, headlined by Charles Oliveira and Mateusz Gamrot. Before we dig into the predictions provided by the machine learning models, let's have a quick look at last week's results. The fights kicked off on Friday afternoon with PFL Champion Series Dubai. The models correctly predicted 5 out of 8 bouts, which unfortunately still left us with a loss of 2.85 units. We still had plenty of time to get ahead on the weekend though, but One Fight Night 36 was not here to help. 2 out of 3 predictions were correct, but after a fishy-looking retirement fight from Ong Lasong, my bankroll was down another half unit. Luckily, UFC 320 was here to save the day on Saturday night. The models picked a lot of favorites on this card, risking nearly 70% of my bankroll. Fortunately, we didn't see any large upsets and turned a profit of 5.31 units on the night. As always, I ended my weekend by accepting the weekly bonus. This one brought in an extra 0.59 units. After it was all said and done, the machine learning models increased my bankroll by 2.55% over the weekend, bringing it to a new all-time high. Now that we're all caught up, let's have a look at the fights coming up this weekend. We will be kicking off this card with a bantamweight matchup between Luan Lacerda and Saimon Oliveira. Both of these guys are in desperate need of a win inside of the UFC. Luan is 0-2 in the promotion, losing his last fight by TKO in June of 2023. Saimon is even worse off, having lost all 3 of his UFC fights, with the last 2 ending by stoppage. The models correctly predicted an Oliveira loss in his last fight, and all 3 of them think it's more of the same this time out. I've got 3.6 units risked on Luan Lacerda as a minus 240 favorite. Our next fight takes place at strawweight between Julia Polastri and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Usually, the models don't attribute much to age in the women's divisions, but here we have a 12-year age gap with Karolina just shy of 40 years old. The graph shows age amounting to 16% of the decision, but I'd still expect it to be a determining factor here. They are both looking to bounce back from a loss, with each dropping 2 unanimous decisions in their last 5 bouts. The models all favor Julia Polastri here as a minus 450 favorite, so I've placed 6.75 units on her to win the fight. From the lightest division all the way to the heaviest, the next fight will be Mohammed Usman versus Valter Walker at heavyweight. Valter has 4 submission wins on his record, 3 of those are in the UFC. Those 3 subs came in his last 3 fights, and all of them were by heel hook in the first round. Does this matter? I don't know, but I'd like to see him make it 4. The models seem to love a heavyweight with submission wins, so I'm not surprised by them all favoring Walker so heavily. He is a minus 260 favorite at the books, and I picked him up for 3.9 units. Dropping all the way back down to a flyweight fight between Stewart Nicoll and Lucas Rocha. Both Stewart and Lucas will be making their second walk in the UFC after losing their respective debuts. Nicoll was undefeated at 8-0 before losing by first-round submission in August of 2024. Lucas was on a 6-fight run that was ended by a second-round submission last October. Stewart suffered an injury before a scheduled fight in February, but I don't know why Rocha has been away for an entire year. All 3 models predict this fight very close, but 2 of them lean towards Stewart Nicoll. The bettors also have the line leaning that way, so I picked him up for 1.34 units as a minus 134 favorite. The final women's bout on this card will take place at bantamweight when Beatriz Mesquita fights Irina Alekseeva. Beatriz will be making her UFC debut as an undefeated fighter. Of her 5 wins, none of them have gone the distance. She stopped the first 3 by rear naked choke, the 4th ended with an illegal kick, and she finished her most recent fight by TKO. She isn't the most experienced in MMA, but she does have dozens of BJJ matches dating back to 2011. Irina will be making her fourth walk to the octagon on Saturday, and she'll be looking to get back in the win column after back-to-back unanimous decision losses. The bookmakers and the models all favor the UFC newcomer in this fight, so I picked up Beatriz Mesquita for 8.99 units as a minus 600 favorite. There's basically no middle ground on this card when it comes to weight classes, so we are right back up to heavyweight, this time for a battle between Vitor Petrino and Thomas Petersen. Vitor is 12-2 as a pro, but only 1-0 since moving up to heavyweight. They are both 3-2 in their last 5 and looking to build on a one-fight win streak. The betting line and the prediction models all agree that Petrino is more likely to make it 2 in a row. I've placed a 3.75 unit bet on Vitor Petrino as a minus 250 favorite. We're back down at flyweight to close out the prelims with Clayton Carpenter facing off against Jafel Filho. So far, the models have not had the best performance when predicting flyweight fights, but they have a perfect 1-0 record when the odds are a true pick'em. Clayton took his first professional loss in his last fight by unanimous decision in January. Jafel is also looking to recover from a UD loss. His was about in May that the models had expected him to win as a plus 105 underdog. The book odds on this fight are dead even at minus 110 both ways. The models all think that Clayton Carpenter will be the one to get it done, so I dropped a 1.65 unit bet on him to win. We've got a couple of featherweight bouts on this card. The first one will be Lucas Almeida versus Nicoll Aswell. Lucas was a bright prospect when he entered the UFC with a 13-1 professional record. Unfortunately, he has since lost 3 of 5 bouts in the promotion and has been finished in 2 of those losses. Nicoll lost a unanimous decision in his UFC debut after stepping up to lightweight to fight Kowalkiewicz on late notice. Almeida is the older fighter by 9 years, and at 34 years old, the models almost certainly take that heavily into account. Despite this, the odds are still pretty close, with Nicoll Aswell only a small minus 155 favorite. All 3 models expect him to win this fight, so I've dropped a wager of 2.32 units. We'll stick around at featherweight for another bout, this one between Ricardo Ramos and Kaan Ofli. Ricardo has lost 3 of his last 5 fights, 2 of those by way of first-round guillotine. Kaan has 3 submission wins in his last 6 fights, and 2 of those are first-round guillotines. This is no guarantee, though. Ofli has lost his only 2 UFC fights to date. Both guys are looking to get back in the win column, and all 3 machine learning models think that Kaan Ofli is more likely to get it done. He is a plus 170 underdog at the books, so I placed a 1.5 unit wager on him. The next bout takes us back up to heavyweight, where Jhonata Diniz will fight Mario Pinto. Both of these guys have impressive records at heavyweight, each with 10 professional fights and just 1 loss between them. Diniz showed a clear weakness on the ground in that loss to Tybura, where he was swept in the first round and then gave up mount in the second, both times leading to him being unable to improve his position for the rest of the round. Pinto will be making his second walk to the octagon on Saturday. His first outing resulted in a win over Austin Lane, so we still have no idea how he'll look against real competition. The book odds in this fight are very close. The models all expect Mario Pinto to win as a minus 117 favorite, so I've placed a 1.76 unit bet on him. Vicente Luque and Joel Alvarez will fight in the feature bout, which takes place at welterweight. Joel will be moving up on short notice after Santiago Ponzinibbio pulled out. As far as I can tell, this will be the first welterweight bout of his entire career. As a lightweight in the UFC, he has a 7-2 record with only a single fight going the distance since his debut in 2019. Despite the wide odds, Luque is not someone that can be overlooked. 14 of his 16 wins in the UFC have been finishes, and those include names like Belal Muhammad and Tyrone Woodley. Unfortunately, he's been on a bit of a bad run, and that's likely why everything points to Alvarez. In my opinion, minus 550 is very expensive, but the models make the decisions, so I'll be betting Joel Alvarez for 8.24 units. We'll be back at bantamweight for the co-main event between Deiveson Figueiredo and Montel Jackson. Looking at the chart, we have two features that contribute over 75% to the model's decision. Montel isn't young for the division at 33, but Figgy at 37 is almost certainly past the point of decline for bantamweight. About 2 years ago, he moved up from flyweight and has since won 3 of his 5 bouts in the division, although his 2 losses did come in his last 2 fights. Montel, on the other hand, is riding a 6-fight win streak dating back to 2021. Montel Jackson is a minus 260 favorite at the books, and all 3 models agree. I've placed a 3.9 unit wager on him to win this fight. Finally, we get to the lightweight main event bout between Mateusz Gamrot and Charles Oliveira. Charles is one of the most skilled finishers in the entire promotion, but Mateusz has never been finished in MMA. Gamrot took this fight on short notice, but it could be a great opportunity for him. If he's able to secure a win over Charles, then he can join the entire list of lightweights who refuse to fight until they get a title shot. At the books, these lines are very close. Mateusz is a small minus 120 favorite, but all of the prediction models are much more convinced, each over 60%. I've placed a 1.8 unit wager on Mateusz Gamrot to win this fight. That's all of the fights currently on this card, but before we get into the totals, I want to give a quick shout out to Chat UFC and MMA Judge Analyzer. The Analyzer is run by actual certified MMA judges and is the closest thing to live scoring that you can get. Chat UFC has put together a system using insights from these live scores that continues to churn out profitable live betting opportunities. I've left links for both of these guys in the description for any of you looking for more opportunities to make money betting on MMA. Now, let's have a look at our totals. Of 13 fights, the models have picked 11 favorites. Of those, they all agree on 10. They only predict a single underdog to win, but they are confident in that choice. The last fight was a true pick'em, and that play is also to win 1.5 units. In total, I risked 49.5% of my bankroll on this card with the potential to profit 20.05 units with a perfect night. I'm keeping my eyes out for other promotions this week, but so far there are no other fights that I can make predictions on. One Friday fights and LFA 219 are this weekend, and fights may change. So keep an eye on the Patreon so you don't miss those picks. As always, thanks for watching, and good luck on all of your bets this weekend.